Hey guys, Verbal Engine 95, recording live from your local county prison cell. Once again, you're just gonna have to put up with the AC blowing. It's very hot out, and I don't feel like having the windows down so you can't hear me at all. So that's what we're gonna have to go with. Yeah. Also, apologies for the lateness of this video. I actually had recorded this last week, I think, and wasn't really satisfied with it, mainly because I have a thumb injury right now, and my life has just kind of sucked for the last week. So, yeah, I had to take care of that, unfortunately. But here's going to be my attempt at doing the video as per my normal standards. And this fight was actually, I came up with this fight like an hour before I did the first video or the first draft of this, because I saw the new Netflix movie, K-pop Demon Hunters, right? And I thought it was really good. And me being so death battle brained, my first thought watching it was like, okay, who would I put these guys against, right? Kind of silly how that's affected me, but whatever. And I couldn't really think of anything, and then I looked online, couldn't really find anything. And then I just randomly dawned on me, like, the next day. I was like, oh my god, you know what this reminds me of? This, like, the animation and the character quirkiness and etc. I was like, this show reminds me of Totally Spies. And I'm like, wait, that's a 3-person group. Oh my god. So, yeah, and I mean, there's sort of a connection there, you got like a K-pop group, which has, sort of a stigma about it, and you've got these kind of valley girls who have a stigma about them, but they're super important, deadly, saving the world heroes, right? Secretly, of course, but yeah, don't expect too much of like a severe, don't expect this to be like a really huge connection fight, because I just kind of came up with it based on the aesthetic, and I've never seen this connection before, so I'm gonna go on a limb and say I'm the first person to, think of this. Which probably means nobody wants it, but whatever. But also, pre-warning, K-pop Demon Hunters is just an hour and something long movie. Apparently it was supposed to be a 4-hour movie that really, went into the lore a lot more, but they didn't do that. So there's a lot of conjecturing I'm going to have to do, because there's just not a lot of information regarding, like, how the lore exactly works. So I'm just going to have to use it on what I have. Anyway, let's get into it. So let's start with, and the fight is going to be Huntrix and Totally Spies, if you didn't get that from me mentioning all that. So, Huntrix. Huntrix is a K-pop group that is comprised of, what is it, Rumi, Zoe, and, what's the other girl's name? No, I forget her name. Anyway, of 3 girls that are secretly from a legacy of demon hunters. Now, through the generations, there have been 3 girl groups that use their singing and use the spiritual energy from their fans to create what is known as the Han Moon, which is a barrier that protects the human world from demons. And by doing this, they become very effective demon hunters. But that's not the only thing, because their spirit magic also allows them to create weapons from midair, of which they have a katana, a glaive, and knives that they can materialize out of thin air and used to great degree, but that's not the extent of it. They don't just sing. They've spent their entire lives training to be demon hunters, right? Being trained by the past generation of demon hunters, so on and so forth. In fact, Rumi, the lead singer and de facto leader of the group, was trained by one of the Spirit Sisters, which was the group in the previous generation to them, and was basically raised by her after her mother's untimely death. Why was her mother's death untimely? Well, because Rumi is actually half demon herself. And it is kind of a, demons are kind of like an absolute evil in this world. So being half demon is like, you will not be accepted as, by the good guys, right? Also, demons in this world have physical markings on them that are like unmistakable. And Rumi has those, so she has to keep them hidden. Rumi specifically, I want to talk about, like, they don't really go into too much of what being a demon implies, but presumably her spirit energy, mixed with her demon heritage, allows her to use her demon energy with some sort of effect on the Hanmoon, because it kind of creates, like, weak spots in it. And she's also been shown to be able to, like, teleport, which demons do in this world. They teleport into, like, smoke, so that can be very useful. But she never really does it in front of her teammates, because she's trying to hide, for the most of the movie, she was trying to hide the fact that she was a demon. But yeah, I mean, these are, there's not really too much else to say about them. They're a group of very efficient, very personality-driven demon hunters that go through a story of acceptance and whatnot. In fact, after the team learns Rumi's secrets and they learn to accept themselves, they don't repair the Hanmoon barrier. They actually let it get destroyed and recreate a new one. Now, again, the Hanmoon barrier is forged from their spirit energy, which they get from their fans, and basically covers the entire planet and prevents demons from interfering. So you would have to imagine that their spirit energy is, even if it's like a counteractive energy to demons, like a demon kryptonite or something, being able to spread that across the globe, it would have to be pretty significant, I would think. But again, that's conjecture. I can't really speak onto that. They don't really go into that lore-wise. But anyway, on to the Spies. So the Spies, Sam, Alex, and Clover, 3 high school students who were adopted into the secret spy agency WHOOP, which deals with, world-ending threats that have to be done covertly and secretly. These 3 were, I don't really know if they were given any training or not, but they are just incredibly well trained, even to the point where they take on senior agents, they take on mutants, superhumans, all that sort of stuff on a regular basis. Part to do with their training, part to do with their stubbornness and tenacity, another part to do with the incredible gadgets that they get. I mean, they have a litany of, they usually only get gadgets, specific to the mission. Things like the, like the ceiling foam shooting lipstick, or the laser lipstick holder, the, makeup case communicator, the tornado in a can hairspray, the grappling hook belts, they have a couple of standard ones. I think the communicator and the belts are like, they always have those, and the rest are, kind of whatever. But they're all over the place with these sorts of things. And yeah, these 3 have dealt with, like I said, world-ending super threats that are just very bizarre. You might even say catered to specific interests when being written. I mean, hell, they've been turned into anthropomorphic animals. They've dealt with time travel. They've dealt with the rotation of the Earth and the shrinking and enlarging of the Earth. They've been shrunken and enlarged themselves. They've been through a lot of bizarre things. Even to the point of crossing over with Martin Mystery. I think it's Martin Mystery. Because they were made by the same guy. Or at least they're both on Teletoons. But yeah, very capable to a degree, students, because they are unfortunately dumbasses sometimes. Like, a lot of the time their missions only end with success based on sheer luck or them just stumbling into the perfect solution. And in fact, a lot of the times they fall for very blatantly obvious schemes of the villains. I'm not saying that because they're Valley Girls, they're stupid. I'm just pointing out the statistics here. But yeah, who do I think would win here? Well, so compare it, like, the Spies definitely have the advantage in terms of versatility, right? And they are very, very capable combatively. Like, they've taken on hordes of, enhanced humans before, usually brainwashed. And their fight scenes are actually pretty decent for the time, all things considered. But the problem, and their gadgets are, definitely give them a diversity of options. They're usually, usually they're used in a way that isn't what they're meant for. But that's the thing. Most of their gadgets aren't meant for direct combat. In fact, 99% of their time, their gadgets, are used for when they're caught in the villain's trap that they walked headfirst into. So, yeah, they're not really as useful in combat situations. Also, the thing to consider is that the Huntrix was trained their entire lives in combat, right? Whereas the Spies, though they're incredibly, adept at combat, they were recruited as high schoolers. So that just gives Huntrix this, a lot more experience, all things considered. Not to mention, I believe they're older as well. So, like, yeah, they're just going to have more experience by default, I think, even if they were recruited in high school or something. You add in, like, the spirit energy shit as far as, like, the gadgets and weapons and everything that the Spies have can be destroyed. They can be lost. They can be disarmed. Huntrix can't really, because their weapons are being forged from spirit energy that they always have. Or at least as long as their fans are supportive. If they lose if they lose, like, the hope from their fans and the love from their fans that's being created by their music, they lose the ability to, create the Han Moon, and they also lose the ability to use spirit energy. But that's probably not likely to happen. In fact, Clover, is it Clover? No, Sam. Is it Sam, Alex, Clover? The fucking yellow suit one, the gamer girl, right? Tell me she's not going to be a K-pop fan. Like, she's not going to see a K-pop group and go, oh my god. So, like, that would actively feed Huntrix's spirit energy. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. And to be honest, this is a fight that, like, would happen. I feel like the Spies would be sent to investigate this K-pop group that, like, is, like, randomly disappearing and causing civilians, the unmarked civilians to vanish into thin air, right? And yeah, and like this would be a totally Spies episode. Whoop would send them to investigate this. So yeah, that's how. And I mean, then you're considering like the power output that they would have potentially of their spirit energy. They can also do like energy-based attacks too. That's the other crazy thing. So like, just as far as like reliability and experience goes, I would give it to Huntrix. The Spies can be clever in their own right, and it's also the fact that like the Spies are not particularly, like I said, they're not stupid, but they do let themselves get captured a lot. So any sort of like strategic planning on Huntrix's part, which is not necessarily their strong suit per se, but I feel like they can get outmaneuvered pretty easily. So yeah, I'm going to give this fight to Huntrix. And it's not because I'm striking while the iron is hot and using a new property. This is just how I feel about it. But yeah, anyway, hopefully this draft goes a lot better. Rebel Engine 95, see ya.